So one of the main questions people are going to ask when they listen to this is, why is Eric being so freaking critical about a kids film?
Me too.
That's going to be a question. It's like, why are you so critical about it?
Why are you, Eric?
All right, and I will answer it with a quote from C.S. Lewis, which is an infallible source, and you can never question it. Yeah,
he's British too, so doubly beyond criticism. Yeah.
yes. And basically, he was asked the question, "Why are you writing children's stories?" Essentially, and he said, "I thought I saw how stories of this kind could steal past a certain inhibition which had paralyzed much of my own religion in childhood. Why did one find it so hard to feel as one was told one ought to feel about God or the sufferings of Christ? I thought the chief reason was that one was told one ought to. An obligation to feel can freeze feelings, and reverence itself did harm. The whole subject was associated with lowered voices, always as if it were something medical. But supposing that by casting all these things into an imaginary world, stripping them of their stained glass and Sunday school associations, one could make them for the first time appear in their real potency. Could one not thus steal past those watchful dragons? I thought one could." And what, for the layman who didn't follow all that, look up the quote. It's a beautiful thing. What he's saying is, we need imagination. We need stories to basically break into our analytical and logical mind and allow us to go, wait, God's like this, and obviously proper frameworks. God's like this. Oh, God moves like the wind. He says he moves like the wind. So what if I created a story about God moving like the wind? What if I did this? What if I did that? And it's like, you can create all these types of stories and new things, and you get to sleep past the steal past the watchful dragons of, maybe you could call it theological precision, where it's like, no, everything has to be 1 + 1 = 2. It's like, well, yeah, but I'm multiplying right now. So you go through that. And one of the things that has happened in secular media lately, and it could actually go the other way too, where he was also talking about the watchful dragons of parents, of other well-meaning people who would only create certain appropriate type of content. This lesson that he gave has actually largely been forgotten by Christians, of creating an imaginative story, creating a cartoon, creating an anime, whatever you want to call it, that is geared towards children, so it can sneak past the watchful dragons. And our secular counterparts picked up this lesson and they just ran with it. This is why the last 20, 25 years, you've been seeing more and more and more of the secular worldview put into every type of kids content. It's because it's a kids content, so it's supposed to be safe, right? It's supposed to be safe. And so it's the way to sneak past the watchful dragons. And Christians, we need to pick this mantle back up and go, no. You're the dragon. You're the dragon. We're going to go and create new stories and better stories, imaginative stories that bring glory and honor to God. And we're going to sneak past your dragons. And at the end of the day, we'll win the culture back.
Absolutely. It's strange because Christians, as you say, right on, saying that for a long time the church did dominate the imagination, with art like Rembrandt and all sorts of Christ figures and paintings and classical art. And then the move away in thought from that kind of reflects, the move away from the Christian story as being the basis for that. But although we can't, of course, we can't get away from our Christian assumptions about what the world ought to be, as we discussed at length in other episodes about our values and what makes right and wrong and justice and what should we fight for, and that was just kind of common to a lot of cultures, or not common. Christian uniqueness of Christian culture.
Yes.
But yeah, I want to pick up, speaking in the West, that we have an arrogance in some ways that, oh, we've got rid of fairies, got rid of superstition, let's cut with the past. Miyazaki, you're rubbish. We don't need that kind of wacky imagination. That's a kind of funny thing someone might say, because we've had quite a bit of a tide of atheism, and that's kind of rode back quite considerably. There's actually on that imaginations that we forget it is not just, you know, when you're creating stories, it's not just the secular world's world. It's actually God's world, and it's sacred. It's God's world because it's His everything, and how the imagination that God has for this world points a lot about Him.
We hope you enjoyed this snack-sized taste of Popcorn Theology. Check out the full episode using the link in the description. Subscribe on YouTube for more content. Follow and interact on social media to share with others. And remember, you are not a mindless consumer.